Extreme 3D House from Up Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everybody, in today's video I have one of my favorite designs that I've created recently, and this is going to be an up house. So Carl's house from Up with all the balloons, and it's got just a sky background for it, and it's little strings that attach the balloons to Carl's house. I absolutely love this, and this would go so well into an up themed design that would just be so much fun. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. I'm going to begin with an overlay of a very nice little light sky blue acrylic over the top of the entire nail. And this nail is a little bit longer, so doing it in a couple different sections can definitely be a benefit. So I did it with a 3-ball method, which is if you go to the same type of a school I did for nails, that's what they teach you to do for everything, is a 3-ball method, and to never try to do it in one single acrylic pickup. But you know, sometimes you don't do what you're told. Anyways, then I'm going to take some white, and I just create a few fluffy looking clouds at the tip of the nail, and then encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure it is nice and strong. And you're also going to be protecting the very little bit of nail art that's in this already with the clouds at the tip of the nail. So just apply that over the whole thing to create a very nice smooth canvas to do the rest of the art on. And then after you have that acrylic on there and it has set up completely, you're going to want to file the nail into shape with your efile. I started out with a very coarse bit to remove any bulk. And then after I have that done, I'm going to take a finer bit and go over the whole thing just to refine the surface texture and make it a little bit easier to do the sculpting on top of it. Even though most of the sculpting on this nail is a little bit easier or a little bit simpler, it's all very, very small. It's basic shapes, but tiny. So having a nice smooth canvas to work on top of is a huge benefit. So now grab all of your colors of color acrylic that you want to use possibly for balloons and lay them all out next to you so that you have them easy access, and just start sculpting your balloons. So I used, I'm probably not even going to remember all the colors, purple and pink and blue, like a darker teal blue, and yellow and orange and red, green too, a whole bunch of them. And just take all of those colors and kind of have an order in your mind so that you work from left to right or right to left or however you're doing it, so that you have a good variety of colors, and you just start sculpting little balloons in the upper half to third of the nail. So just add them, and for the moment space them out so that there's no overlap on them. So just have them all spaced out, but then as you continue working on your balloons, you're going to want to start overlapping them. And you want to fill it out so it goes all the way to the cuticle area of the nail. And that little balloon area of this nail is one of my favorite things ever. It's so colorful and bright, and it's just, I absolutely love this. This whole nail, as well as the movie, has such an uplifting feeling, you know, with all the balloons. But just keep adding all of those little details and all those little balloons here and there, and it's going to seem like it's going to take forever. Honestly, this nail took me longer than most of my 4D designs, just because there's so many different beads of color, and it's kind of tedious to do. But the end result, I think, is definitely worth it. So just keep adding them and keep working on it. And you want to point, because balloons aren't a circle, they are kind of an upside down teardrop shape. You want to have the point pointing all down towards the middle tip of the nail. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing this, that they all have to have an angle on them. And keep working on them and adding them and filling them in, and trying to keep a variety of where each color is placed. And keep adding them wherever it seems like there needs to be another balloon, add it, and kind of just fly by the seat of your pants at this point. And then after you have all of those done, then we can sculpt Carl's house at the tip of the nail. So that's the next fun thing to work on. So just do the majority of them. But then for Carl's house, he actually has a bunch of different colors on his house, way more than I included in this design because there's just not enough space for it. If you had a lot more space, I would want to add as much detail as I possibly could to Carl's house. But for now, I'm going to stick with the basics and add his roof with kind of a tan color. And then using orange, I'm going to be adding the main part of the house, because his house is orange and yellow and green and multiple shades of brown and all sorts of stuff. So just add the very basics and do the rest of the detail with acrylic paint later, because it's a little easier to control. So there's the little orange base of the house. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a guy in Utah who, I assume it's a guy, I don't know. I think that's what the article said, but there's somebody in Utah that designed their house to replicate the Up house, and I thought that was just crazy. It's so cute. It's so adorably cute, but I don't know I don't know why you would do that for sure. Obviously, he was an Up fan. But then take the yellow, a very pale yellow, and add a little steeple on his house. Little pointy area there. And then add some green below it. And keep adding layers to it. I know that I said that all the shapes are very basic, which makes this design simple, and that's kind of a lie because it's not necessarily simple. It's just if you break it down and you see the shapes, that's all triangles and rectangles and squares and all of those very simple shapes that you learn in kindergarten and elementary school. But the application of them isn't very simple. So I stand corrected for what I said. But then take a bunch of pieces of white thread and cut them off. I want to say I used 9 or 10 or something like that. And just cut a whole bunch of them, and these are going to be for your balloon strings. And then here and there throughout your bunch of balloons, glue them down. So just glue them from the balloons so that the strings are pointing towards Carl's house. And hold them in place until that glue sets. Sometimes nail glue can be a finicky creature, so good luck to you. Took me a couple tries, but just, glue them down and fill it in. Each balloon isn't going to have a string, so don't have that in mind, because if that was the case, it wouldn't all attach to his chimney. So just add them in so that they're nicely spaced out and they can all come together still. And after you are happy with all of that, all of your little strings glued on, then you're going to want to add additional balloons on the top of each one. So don't try to line them up so that you're gluing the string to the bottom of a certain balloon. Don't worry about that. Just glue them down so that they are nicely spread out throughout the design, because you're going to be adding their balloons on top of them anyways. So then add another balloon on top of each of your strings and switch it out. Same thing, switch out your colors so you're not using the same color for all of this. And when you're thinking of what color to use for each spot, look at what colors are next to it and try not to put, say, 2 blue balloons right next to each other. Try to keep it all spaced out nicely and fill them in. And it seems like if you are anything like me, there's always going to be certain colors you gravitate towards and want to use more than others. You're always going to be like, oh, I'm going to use the teal because, if you really like teal. But for a design like this, try to avoid that and keep a variety going. So then after you have all of those done, grab the ends of your strings and sort of pull them all together and then twist them a little bit and try to get them to stick together, not with anything like glue, but just to themselves with some static. And then hold them in place and cut off any extra. And then take and glue them down to where Carl's chimney is. And I know that you already sculpted his chimney and you just glued a whole bunch of strings on top of it. So finish off the chimney with one more layer of brown acrylic so that you're sealing those strings in place. After that, we can go through and we can add all of the details to Carl's house and to the balloons. For the balloons, all you really need to do is take a little bit of white paint and add a tiny little highlight on one side of each balloon. It does not take too much, but just adding that little line makes them all look so shiny. Just like so. And then after you have that, to add the details to Carl's house, it's really however much you want to be adding to his house. He has, there's sets of windows on his house, and there's a fence and a porch and a front door, and like I said before, an incredible amount of detail, and you won't have room for it. So just choose what you want to add and skip or forget the rest, and you'll be happier for it. If you try to add too much detail to it, you're just going to end up with a headache, and that's no fun. So just add what you want to. Make sure that you do add some outlines around the outside of it, though. That will help it so that you can really see his house standing out so it doesn't just blend into the sky. Adding all of those nice little details, and any detail you want to add is going to add to the end result, but just bear in mind that it is really tiny, so you only have space for so much. And if you guys were planning on doing this as part of a set and doing some additional nails, I would think that doing a design that had just some of those clouds in the background with the Up logo painted on it would also be amazing. I love any design that's themed like this is just fantastic, and I'm always jealous when I create them. I'm like, oh, now I want this as my nails. So just keep adding those little details where you can. And then when you are happy with it, which, like I said, it's kind of, personal opinion how much you want to do, but I'm going to be applying a layer of 3D glaze to my balloons and to Carl's house. And that 3D glaze is an air dry product from Coupa, actually, and it is just meant for 3D stuff to add sort of a subtle kind of a satin sheen on top of it. So that's it. I hope you guys like this design as much as I do. I absolutely love the way the balloons turned out. I think they are fantastic. And please share any recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I would absolutely love to see them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!